Hi, welcome to show 274. This week we're going to do what they used to do in every great American sitcom. Have a flashback episode where we go through classic episodes because unfortunately I left the files for this week's show back in London, so that show will have to go out another time. Last week we interviewed the legend that is Rous Schroeder, so that's coming up soon. So this week I thought I'd give us some classic clips from our brilliant first few interviews. DJ Format, Mr. Thing, Lee from the Plump DJs,
and Tufkut.
The legend, may rest in peace, John Schroeder. Anyway, we're going to have some of the tracks that they played and some clippets from their interviews. If you like it, make sure you watch the rest of the interviews. They're all on our YouTube show. Next week we'll have hopefully the Rous Schroeder interview, but if not, we'll have a show with the stuff I've picked up in Cornwall. So I went to Plymouth, which is actually in Devon, and I went to Really Good Records, and I'm now in a small town called Mevergissey, where I went to a cafe called the Movie Land Cafe, which actually has records out the back, and picked up some records. And there is a record shop actually opening this week while I'm here, so I'm going to check that out as well. So hopefully I'll pick some more stuff up on my travels, and I'm sure Chris will have some cracking stuff as well when I get back. Welcome to
episode 6.
Episode 6 of About Soul Music Archaeology, and this week we have a very special guest, Tufkut.
Hey. Hello.
Yeah, we've got a big interview with him in the middle of the show, and because he's a special guest, he's going to be picking he's picked all these tunes. He's dug out a few tunes for us this week, and he's going to
tell us
a little bit about them.
So there's none of our tunes this week. They're only Tufkut's, so you can blame him if
fresh from his sack.
Fresh from his sack that he's emptied on our floor.
I can get this in shot.
Oh, that's a little beauty.
Wow!
It comes with a lovely little poster, and it's a Mako Hirota.
It's got music.
And it's on a sorrowful day, and it's got the sleeve notes there.
Awesome.
We can see that. And yes, it's a Columbia Records Nippon version.
Excellent.
And yes, nice little 45 there.
We do like a bit of Japanese funk, so we're going to
worldwide digging.
Proceed quickly. Ooh, some crackle. On a Sorrowful Day, I believe this one, yeah. And where'd you get this one from?
This was from another dealer.
Ah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Let's get rid of this rather exotic looking lovely and go to your next...
Tufkut's leaving already.
Okay, off you go, Tufkut.
Put it in the
okay, so next, what are we going to be playing next?
Next we'll be playing Shelley Fisher, I'll Leave You Girl, which is yes, on Cap Records. It's a little bit of a nice find which I had from let me see, Mr. Lim Large. I had some trades with him.
Anyway, all right, let's go with this.
Seamless.
Yeah. Oh, baby. Oh, these funny changes.
Nice tough drums. Sounds very New Orleans sort of funk to me. It almost sounds like Eddie Bow or something like that.
Yeah, it reminds me of the Eddie Bow and Honest Cheap, Lover and a Friend, which was sung by Diamond for Fat Joe and Grand
Indeed. Yeah, wicked tune. Oh, well nice. Right. Oh bugger! It's clear vinyl, so I can't see the Back a bit. Rewind. There you go. There we go. Yeah, seamless.
Yes, how this all came together was with the
Shameless plug that.
oh yeah, available on Suspect Packaging. Was basically we're digging for all the US hip hop that you get a cappella sometimes, and with the joys of some of the equipment you can get now. I've got my old Akai S950 with Atari for the sequencing, and playing around with the computer I can sort of load in the acapella and sync it up to it. I've produced a nice little batch of remix, repoker.
And I have to say that actually, I think that what Tufkut's done is actually improved the original tracks. To be honest with you, I think that the music you put behind it is what is better than what was originally put behind it. So, just my opinion. So, and Pink Rocker out there, I'm sorry, but Tufkut. He's awesome.
And as usual with our guests, Mr. DJ Format will be choosing the tunes this week.
All right.
So got some good stuff for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, it's thick and fast.
First up, Sound Soy, brand new album out right now. Some very talented friends of mine.
Excellent, excellent.
And, that's not why I'm playing the record, though. I'm playing it because it is a great record.
No, yeah, we had a bit of a preview earlier on, so
you ready for it? This is Lockdown, first song on the album.
Yo, well let us give it to you raw. Some ill hip-hop that you never heard before. Soundside giving you more. We knock on your mental door. Transmit, I'm here to spark your brain. Lyrics are what they go against the plane.
So you say there's that these are some friends of yours. So how'd you know them? And give them a bit of a plug.
Well, the two main producers are Ollie Tiber from Herbalizer and Johnny Cuba from Dynamic Syncopation, tongue tied, and two of the sort of main MCs are Odyssey from Mass Influence and Oxygen that was in Sputnik Brown, and he's also done some stuff recently with DJ Spinner. So yeah, there's other guys involved as well, but yeah, it's like a bit of an all-star lineup.
Nice, blinding. Excellent.
This is a crazy record from Singapore that I just picked up from Ben from Ollie in Brighton.
Nice. Okay.
Ollie.
Excellent.
Here we go. I thought you'd like this one. One day. In keeping with the fact that I know you only play a short portion of the song, the start's great, time to cut it.
So this is the Stylers, right?
Yeah, I believe
the Stylers.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I've had an album of theirs before, but it did not have anything quite as cool as this on it.
This is the one.
But you can't see it there, viewers. But they have got the snappiest suits on. I'm telling you, and some of the most bitchin' hairdos as well.
Oh, the brakes back. The brakes back.
That's killer.
And moving on swiftly. I think that hip hop certainly, well, probably still to this day, is just one of those types of music, or the hip hop culture. It's something that does make you want to just get up and get involved and be a part of. It's
very DIY. It's something that anybody can have a go at if they're good enough.
And obviously the different elements as well. Even if you've got nothing, money wise to get equipment or anything like that, you can b-boy, break dance. You can do a bit of graffiti. That kind of thing, and I messed around with all that kind of thing at school. Mind you, I was never any good at breakdance. No. Too gangly and awkward.
So you wasn't one of the animals in the video then?
No, that wasn't me. No, I wasn't even there when they filmed that. But I was a really awful excuse for a graffiti writer when I was at school, and then anyway, I guess I just really wanted to scratch. That was I tried rapping as well, but actually, for my exams at school, I wrote raps for music exams. So it was closer to poetry, really. Well, not what I wrote, but
I did exactly the same. Yeah. Exactly the same.
I can't believe they humoured me, but they were really nice about it. This is in like 88, 89, I don't know. But
we'll give him a C minus.
Yeah, I've got a D actually. But But yeah, I think as soon as I left school, I bought a set of turntables and a mixer all in one console with my old friend Carl.
Right.
And we used to take turns different days of the week having the set up round each other's houses.
Okay.
And that was really what I wanted to do, was to scratch. You know, hearing DJs scratching, that was the thing that really spoke to me the most and kind of made me feel that it was something that I could get involved and do. Rather than rapping, I knew I wasn't going to do anything with that.
No.
This is break of the week, man.
Break of the week.
We are flying thick and fast.
You're faster than we are.
Yeah.
You know.
I was prepared for this because I've watched your show and I know you don't mess around. You know, these things only get a few seconds each.
This is break of the week.
Break of the week. Drums galore, drums galore.
Yep.
So whereabouts did you pick this up from, and who from?
Okay, I'm very happy to plug my man John Stapleton down in Bristol, Wanted Records. If you're in the Bristol area, excellent second-hand record shop. So yeah, John hooked me up with this one only last week.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
And it's basically, from what I can gather, a library record that just got pressed up as a promotional 7-inch. Okay. Just 3 minutes of heavy drum breaks with occasional synth noises.
And it looks like it's a US library record rather
no, it's
than...
Italian.
It's Italian?
Italian.
God, stuff. I won't ask how much this went for then, because I know that a lot of the Italian libraries...
It was
really?
reasonable, yeah.
Okay.
Very reasonable.
Nice.
Yeah.
Right, so here we are with Mr. Fing. Good evening, sir.
How are you?
Welcome to the shed.
Yeah, welcome to the shed.
I'm loving it in the shed.
Excellent.
This is like being at my house. It's great. It's just real nice.
Well, we certainly hope you don't live in a shed. But
no, I don't live in a shed. All my records are in something similar.
How did you get into what you're doing, and how did you actually get into DJing?
Yeah, DJing. I got into DJing just because I got into hip hop. I got really quite obsessed with learning how to scratch. So I, went down the usual teenage route, wrecked a few hi-fis. Every hi-fi that was kind of bought for me, kind of destroyed it. We used to jam the phono button in, and use the line switch as a transformer. Make slip mats out of inner sleeves of albums and just destroy everything, just to learn really. And then a couple of my friends got decks. We kind of went down that route, and
this was in Tunbridge Wells, right?
Seven Oaks.
Seven Oaks, in sunny Kent.
Sunny Kent, the Garden of England.
The Garden of England.
The Garden of England. While I was still doing a paper round, the paper shop changed owners, and the guy who took over the paper shop used to be a DJ.
Right.
And he had all these records. We were talking about it because every week I would buy NME, I would buy Record Mirror, and he was like, "What, are you interested in DJing and records and that?" And I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, come upstairs." And he had all these records. His whole flat was full of records. And
what sort of stuff?
Like he was into soul and disco.
Right.
So he sold me quite a lot of soul and disco 12s quite early. And then the day I passed my driving test, my older cousin Ian, he basically rang me and goes, "My mate's just given me a load of soul records. Do you want them?" And I was like, "I'll have to drive down." So first ever drive to go and pick up some records, and I got there. Got Bernard Wright album, the Nard.
Wow, yeah.
And this was like 80 something.
Jesus. I mean, that was rare groove then, wasn't it? The Bernard Wright album.
And Chocolate Milk, Action Speaks Louder Than Words. Got all of these things. I got given them. He didn't want no money for them. He just gave them to me.
God.
And so I got those, and I had another uncle. My Uncle Pete had what I thought was the biggest record collection I was ever going to see in my life. He had his whole room just racked out, and I was like, wow. And he was into folk. He was into Jackson Browne, Fairport Convention, things like that. But he had a few James Brown records, and he gave me his copy of Black Caesar. He goes, "I don't like this record at all."
Oh,
and he gave it to me. And basically that was my end. When I got that record home, I was finished.
And now it's break of the week, and he's bought a special break with us. Mark, what is this, mate?
This is Why Young Kids Stray by...
Why Do Young Kids Stray?
Why Do Young Kids Stray by Lawrence Thomas. It's on a tiny little label out of Detroit.
Usually because Brad's chasing them. sick. They're sick. Yeah. Excellent. Where'd you pick that one up from?
I got this from, I'd like to say I found it somewhere exciting, but I actually bought it from a dealer in Liverpool.
Well, you know, that's what dealers are for, really, isn't it? Just say no, kids.
Hi, and welcome to show 15, a very special show this week because it's the first snippet of our interview with the legend that is John Schroeder.
Yeah, definitely. We had him in the shed a couple of days back, and we had an epic chat and interview with the man. And I have to say, it was the most fascinating nights I can honestly remember. Absolutely gold, and what a lovely fella as well.
Yeah. So you know, ourselves and Mr. DJ Format were in the shed, all cramped in with the man. And because it's so long, we would just do snippets in our show, and the whole thing will be there for your viewing pleasure. 2 hours, 25 minutes on Mr. Format's website. We'll have a link from our site and everything like that. Yeah. Very special. So to start this week, we're just going to play all John Schroeder produced tunes this week.
That's right.
And we're starting, Chris.
Yeah, this is the Birders. Yeah, this is my personal favourite John Schroeder track from the Wichita Toe album. What a guy! What a cool guy! And I have to say, I love this. It just builds and builds and builds. And John was actually saying in the interview that this was basically about a bird that's flown. I think he meant a woman. So yes, but brilliant, epic funk, epic sounds. Excellent.
And obviously you discovered and produced Simandi, the UK funk band that people know very well.
It's on there. Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Hold up, just to give a little flash.
Well, they came across my paths really unknowingly. It was just by chance that I was going down to listen to another band in the basement of some strip club in Soho, I think it was, if my memory serves me right. And the band I was going to see were there, but there was all this noise going on and this music, and they like everyone was having a party, you know. It was. I pushed open the door and it was packed with all these people who were bopping around to this music, and I couldn't see where the music was coming from. All I knew is that the rhythms that I was hearing were incredibly effective. And I thought, and the brass was violently out of tune. And you know what I mean? And once I got through all the crowds and all the rest of it and got to somewhere where this was coming from, and there was these guys just sort of ad-libbing. It was like just a party, and just family and friends and so on got together for a jam. And it was just amazing. I mean, the effectiveness of these rhythms. Yeah. And of course, then I got into them as to who was doing it and all the rest of it. And then they knew that I was a record company exec on my own label and all the rest of it. And I didn't know what I'd fallen into. Yeah. And I thought, I like what I hear. I'm gonna try something in the studio with them, you know. And I got them and went through the material and so on, and decided to put down 3 or 4 tracks in the studio, just as sort of demos, if you like. Initially, there weren't anything else than that. And of course, they were really thrilled to do that, and you know, but they were a nightmare. They're completely all over the place. They didn't know where they were and all the rest. They were interested in playing this music, and they did it for fun, you know. And the band did gig, but not seriously at that time. And we got them in the studio, and we did these 4 tracks, and of which the message was one, dare I say. I just felt there was something there. Now, I used to go to Midem every single year. I'm sure you've heard of Midem, the place in Cannes, where all the music business guys go. I went every single year because that's where I got my money from to make my next year's product from. I used to take the productions that I'd done, the new productions, go to Midem, have someone really think, oh, great stuff, John, and upfront money for me, and take my productions, and I've got the money to make my next year's product, you see. Yeah. I walked through the customs once.
And this was foreign labels licensing your releases.
Right. I walked through customs with £16,000 in cash in my case one time.
Nice.
That £16,000 years ago was worth a lot of money. Yeah. Made my product for the next year, thank you very much. And that's how Simandi actually became financed, through the money that I activated through Midem. Well, now Midem became very instrumental in what happened to Simandi, because I was very close to a guy called Marvin Schlachter, who had a label called Janus, associated with Chess
yes.
Records, right?
Yeah.
And when I was at Pi, a lot of Pi products went through Chess Records. It was released in the States.
Yeah.
But I kept my friendship up going with Marvin Schlachter. And Marvin even released Sounds Orchestral in America, you know. So he knew Castafiore, he knew all that stuff that I did. And we remained friends. And Marvin was very much into black music.
Yeah.
And I took a cassette of these tracks over to meet them, and I bumped into Marvin. He said, Marvin said to me, "What are you doing, John?" I said, "Oh, I'm just messing about with a group. I've got my own label now." And he said, "Oh, fantastic." I said, "Well, it's not really. It's a headache and money or whatever." And he said, I know. Well, let me hear what you're doing. What musically are you doing?" I said, "Well, I've got this black band called Samandi, you know." And he said, "Oh, well," I said, "I've got a cassette." He said, "Well, leave it with me." I said, "Okay, let me know." Anyway, I forgot nothing about it. 4 weeks later, I get an email. "Love Samandi."
Not an email in those days.
I mean, not an email. I'm thinking of today. Not an email. What do they call?
Telegram?
Yeah, telegram.
Yeah.
Telegram.
Carrier pigeon.
Love Samandi. Love the message. You know, want a release.
Yeah.
And that was the start of all. He went absolutely bananas about it, and they released it, and the message became a sort of underground type record. It was played all sorts of stations. It got an incredible reaction from the sort of college movements and things. All this, and then it broke big, and it started to broke the national charts.
Hi and welcome to show 9 of Hot Butt Sound Music Archaeology. This week we've got a very special guest, Lee Rous from the Pump DJs.
That's right, yeah, he was kind enough to come in and be interviewed by us last week. In homage, we're playing Creep Show by the Plump DJs, which I also have got a bit of a credit on as well. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is play a bit of this and then scratching probably quite badly the break that comes from it.
Rated X as well from Cool Again. This is Rated X by Cool and the Gang, great tune, and the other tune was Creep Show by the Plump DJs, fantastic tune, and I recognise that voice that says Creep Show.
Yeah, that was me on the vocoder actually.
Yeah. So format, you're not the only one that uses a vocoder, mate. Chris has got you there.
Good evening. Good evening. Anyway.
Secondary school and really met you at school, and you are a local DJ and introduced me to the Wheels of Steel.
It's not about me, Lee.
It was all about you. You were the gateway.
It was. I mean, I have to say. I mean, this is obviously your interview, but it was an interesting time. I remember that sort of like mid-90s sort of time where people that were used to be into hip hop and used to be into house music and used to be into hardcore drum and bass had all started to sort of like get together, and this, you know, and so you could listen to all of it, but then certain different pockets and styles of music started coming out of that.
Definitely, you had a few different promoters in London. I remember Paul Arnold down in Brixton, and TCR, Rennie Pilgrim, Teo and Adam Freeland doing their own version of that, and it all sort of happened at the same time. A similar sort of, would that be right? The Aztecs and the Egyptians,
I suppose. You tell me. I don't know, mate.
Not as great a thing as that, but
well, you never know. There's history in everything, and that's kind of what this is all about. Really, it is. It's about the history.
Yeah, bring it back to archaeology.
Exactly, and it's true because you know, I remember obviously DJing with you down there, and it really was pure b-boys. We're not talking.
We had Second to None.
We had Second to None. We had Born to Rock, and all of these people.
That Scarecrows, the young lads from Swindon.
Swindon, that's right. Yeah.
And we were basically picking up lino, you know, having to buy new lino every other weekend, driving all these b-boys around the country to get them to our events. And
because this was when b-boying started to pick up again, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think they had the first b-boy championships in Britain after something like 15 years or something. I think this was back in '96, wasn't it? And I think we all went along and stuff. Okay.
What I think was weird is that the turntablism side of things would still stayed strong, but the b-boy thing went away.
Yeah.
And it came back with a real vengeance. Remember there was that club down in King's Cross, the Cross, Scratch.
Yeah.
You performed there as well, didn't you? With Andy actually and Matt Cantor from the Freestylers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
A long time ago, doing the cut and paste.
That's right. Yeah.
DJ Messiah and
Definitely.
3 Wheels of Steel.
Yeah. what fun.
We're going to leave you with the theme of the week, and the theme of the week is Tubular Bells by Percy Faith. Take it away, Mr. Fink.
Yeah, what would the Exorcist be like if this was in it? Especially with Mr. Finn scratching all over it, it'd be awesome. Rewind.
Cool.